everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Kenobi on Monday Night Facebook Live. You know it. It is our regular time, and I'm so happy to see everyone here. It looks like Tyler has got the right idea. He's got CWK Live on, and the Cubs are on in the background. I love it. It's so great. Minta always says happy CWK Day, which is fun. Mary, happy Monday to you. Terry, so glad you could join us, my friend. Jim, hello. Hello, hello. Blake, good to see you. Eric, good to see you as well. LJ, there he is. Awesome, awesome, everybody. Well, hello again. Again, I'm Dan Z, your host of Coffee with Kenobi. Excited to spend this Monday night with you on Facebook Live. It's one of the highlights of my week, and seriously, seeing everybody, knowing I can count on you all is just so great. And we hope to give you a lot of fun. In the meantime, talking some Star Wars. We've got a big show tonight. Got a few little changes here and there. I'm excited to break those things down for you. So I'll go ahead and let's just kick it off, shall we? Explain a couple of things that are going on. As far as what's brewing in the world of Star Wars, well, there's not a lot of major news. I did see that Her Universe just published a couple of teas with the Bad Batch logo, which is pretty cool. So, of course, I picked up one of those. And that's really fun. Looks like Killian, good to see you, my friend. Speaking of the Cubs, Killian is a former student of mine, one of the biggest Cub fans I know. Aaron says, yes, are the Cubs playing? Yes, of course they are. Fauci announces throwing out the ceremonial first pitch for Nats in the opener. Wow, how about that? That's cool. Look at all this baseball love. I love it. Zach, may the force be with you. Opening day is Friday. They're playing the White Sox in a training game tonight. That is correct. Last night was the first training game. They lost, I think, 8-3, something like that, but that's okay. It's just a spring training. Imagine a spring training, only 3 days. But this isn't a baseball talk, so I'll get back to Star Wars. A couple of big things that I want to talk about in this exciting little world of ours. For one thing, normally we're doing a CWK book study every Facebook. We've done it for 8 weeks in a row, 2 months, but that's changing a little bit. So if you've been following our YouTube channel, or if you've been on Facebook over the past hour, you probably noticed something different as well. Blake says, go Marlins. Oh, Blake, that's such hope for you, my friend. But Marlins, they really killed my Cubs in 2003. Oh, boy. Well, anyway, so besides that, in the world of Star Wars, not much going on. We do have an exciting top 5 tonight, so I think we need to get to that. Let's go ahead and get to our top 5. Tonight's top 5 is, of course, your top 5 favorite obscure Jedi Knights. This caused a wonderful conversation home with my son Mason and I. Mason says, hello, everyone. He did give me a couple for his list, and it was a tricky list. We got out some of the old DK books and looked through and just basically tried to find every Jedi Knight we could find. However, and this is where it gets tricky, right? Because these are obscure Jedi. So, Luke, Anakin, Rey, Yoda, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka. To me, those are all not obscure Jedis. Everyone knows who they are for the most part. So I guess it could be argued that everyone knows Ahsoka the way they do Luke, and that could be fair. But still, to me, an obscure Jedi is somebody who's on the Jedi Council who's never been like a focal point of a movie or an animated series or a comic book or a novel in general, as far as being the main character. And as I believe Minta asked last week, do characters from the Legends line count? Of course they do. If you can think of a Legends line Jedi Knight that's going to be in your top 5 favorite obscure Jedi Knights, then great. It was pretty fun. Actually, a little more challenging than I expected, because there are a few where I was just kind of on the fence about who to put in and where I wanted to rank them. Again, it's a wonderful problem that I've been having with CWK Pro. For those of you who are subscribers to our Coffee with Kenobi Patreon page and join us in that special Coffee with Kenobi Cantina every week for our pour over, know that we've been doing top 15s, top 5s, top 10s, kind of depending on the topic and how broad it is. This week we just wrapped up our top 5 of the 15 greatest movies of all time, at least in our opinion, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So that's kind of how we're incorporating things for our top 5 list. So Mary is a Reds fan. Oh, well, it's in El Central, so that's good. Obviously, I'm a big Cubs fan, of course. Man, maybe I should do a baseball Facebook Live. Something to think about. Anyway, so let's do it. Top 5 favorite obscure Jedi Knights. Are we ready, everybody? Hope you've got your list ready to go. And by the way, while we're getting ready to do this, did anyone else have a hard time coming up with a list? Was this a challenging one? And what did you do to kind of make that up? And Jedi doesn't have a toy. Well, not necessarily. There you go. Oh, LJ, you're a Reds fan too. Well, there you go, man. I love it. Okay, so my number 5 favorite obscure Jedi, Quinlan Vos. Now, this is a surprise to me because, and says it's tricky. Tyler's ready to go, so that's good. I picked Quinlan Vos honestly because of Dark Disciple. I knew Quinlan Vos was a Jedi. I knew he was semi-popular sort of in some circles, in some sects of fandom. And I knew that he had a very, very, very brief appearance in the Phantom Menace, really just sort of an extra, but then they gave him a little more, oh, here's his name, here's his background, as often happens with some Star Wars characters in the background, which we're going to talk about that throughout the show tonight. But yeah, of course they all have, Aaron says they all have toys, yes. Minta says, Master Wolf from the Legacy series. Awesome. Minta, I knew you'd have some Legacy ones. Mary says this was really challenging. I had to do some major Googling. I know, I hear you, my friend. But anyway, so Minta says Master Wolf. Minta, tell us why you picked Master Wolf. That's a really cool choice. I picked Quinlan Vos mostly because of the novel Dark Disciple. I was moved by his relationship with Asajj Ventress and his turn to the dark side, and then him coming back to the light in a relatively short time span compared to what we're used to with these epic Jedi that are doing these kind of things. And he's in a couple episodes of Clone Wars. He's got a fun, kind of quick wit to him, and he's interesting. And really, you got to read Dark Disciple by Christie Golden. It's an exceptional novel. It is, of course, canonical. It's a major, major portion of the Clone Wars story, and it reveals kind of where Asajj Ventress is in the world of Star Wars these days. So, highly suggest you check it out. It's definitely going to make you like Quinlan Vos and appreciate him quite a bit more. LJ says, Coleman Trevor, he was this close to ending the Clone Wars before it began. Okay, maybe not, but he was a dinosaur Jedi. That's true. He was. Yeah, he met a tricky fate in Attack of the Clones. Tyler says, Jero Topple, tough as nails, Lasat, but died in a very heroic way, protecting his Padawan. Hope to see more of him in the future. Well, that is a great deep cut as well. Aaron says, pre-Sith Dooku. I wondered about that, and really the only example we have of Dooku before he was a Sith is in the Dooku Jedi Lost audiobook that's exclusive to Penguin Random House Audio, which, by the way, is a sponsor of tonight's show. I want to be sure to mention that. But that is a great one, Aaron, a very, very good choice. Ross says, Nak Med, no spoilers to read Force Collector by Kevin Shinnick. Sorry, my mistake. Wow, look at this. I'm so glad we're coming up. These are really obscure. I love it. Eric has Master Even Peel, tough little guy. Nice. A very good choice. Jim's number 5 is Thexan. I honestly don't know much about him, but he sure was really cool in one of those Old Republic trailers. He was. And I know that trailer you're talking about. That is cinematic. Oh, Blake says Pong Krell. There's one Clone Wars arc. Seeing how a Jedi Master embraced the dark side and turned evil hit me hard. Yeah. Actually, Mason asked about Pong Krell, and I'm like, well, I don't know if he's a Jedi. I mean, I guess he is. But he does turn from the Jedi. But, I mean, you certainly had quite a few episodes, 3 episodes at least, where he was a Jedi. So that's cool. I like it, Blake. Very good. Master Wolf was in charge of training the latest Skywalker, and he gives off a gray Jedi vibe. Oh, I like it. I like it. So Dooku Jedi Lost was really good. Mary, I totally agree. It's an exceptional audiobook, and it very much reads like theater. It's great. Yeah, so cool. So Tyler is remarking, Tyler, I'm not sure what you're referring to. It must be a previous comment, so let us know. Could have known. Aaron says Dooku could have saved the Republic had he not fallen. Well, that's very true. And I think the same could be said for Qui-Gon as well. Good. See, this is exactly why Facebook Live is so much fun, because of your interaction. Keep those comments coming in, Tyler. Be sure to let me know what you're talking about with that one. So that was my number 5. Number 4, now I was a little surprised, but it just made sense, is Depa Billaba. Now, this is an image of her from one of the last episodes of the Clone Wars. But Depa Billaba, fans of Star Wars Rebels know, is the Jedi Master to Caleb Dune, who becomes Kanan Jarrus. And Kanan Jarrus is an exceptional Jedi. Certainly not obscure. He's not on my list. But the fact that Kanan / Caleb Dune would have so much faith in her and she clearly was nurtured to him, helped to get him on his path. We know what a great Jedi Kanan ended up being, and a lot of that comes from his teacher. Of course, a lot of it has to do with the work that Kanan does on himself, but Master Balaba is awesome. She does make an appearance in the movie in episode 1, and she has a great arc in the Kanan Jarrus sort of mini series, basically, that was out when Marvel started doing the Star Wars comic books as canonical. So that's good. So Tyler says he's towards Blake's Pong Krell. Oh, interesting. Shade is being thrown. There you go. Minta's number 4, Master Yaddle. Probably one of the only other of Yoda species. She was in the comics and she had a brief cameo in The Phantom Menace. That's right. Yeah, Master Yaddle. That's a very good one. Ross, thank you, man. Appreciate that. Jim's number 4 is Ram Koda from The Force Unleashed. Ooh, nice. I was wondering if The Force Unleashed was going to show up. Aaron says Jero Tapple. And then Eric has Depa Balaba, Cool Legends backstory, and Shatterpoint. That's right. Good call. Good call. Ross's number 4 is Jocasta Nu. We all know librarians are awesome and critical stewards to history and knowledge. It's true. It's true. Tom will tell you the same thing. And I think that is correct. Tyler's number 4 is Luminara. She has a cool and unique design plus a green lightsaber. I was devastated when her fate was revealed in Rebels and shocked they put that in the kids show. Yeah. I was just thinking about Luminara earlier because of how she was basically used by the Inquisitor as bait for Kanan and Ezra. So in fact, that's going to come up on This Week Coffee with Kenobi. Mary's number 4 is Kit Fisto. If my friend Brian Romsberger is watching, I'm sure that he's going to have Kit Fisto very high as well. LJ, Sifo Dyas. I really enjoyed his character in Jedi Lost. Oh, nice. Sifo Dyas was a good one. He's very tortured Jedi with a lot of baggage. His Force abilities are just so powerful. They're almost too powerful for him, really. That's a good one. Blake says Coleman Trevor was the Jedi in Attack of the Clones who Jango shot off the balcony. That's right. It was always comical to me how no one knew who he was, but he's so infamous with his quick, almost comical death. Well, a little too soon, Blake. Really, come on. Just kidding. No, Coleman Trevor has a cool design. As LJ said, he was like a dinosaur Jedi. And yeah, he meets a pretty quick fate, but that I think was essential to the story to show that Jango Fett is a match for Jedi. I mean, as we see him fight Obi-Wan to a stalemate on Geonosis, not on Geonosis, but on Kamino. The Lasat species are so mysterious and need more screen time. I agree. I love the Lasats for sure. All right, so Depa Blaba, my number 4. Now let's get to our number 3s. My number 3 is Shakti. Now, Shakti is kind of all over the place because, of course, she's got a story in, the Clone Wars and in some of the books, but she has a really large presence in the Legends line and especially in Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars micro series that was on Cartoon Network. She is one of the ones who fights General Grievous to a not really a standstill because Grievous sort of has it well in hand, but she gives him the most trouble, the most challenge. In the deleted scenes in Revenge of the Sith, she is seen being killed by General Grievous. They talk about her in the Clone Wars as going to try to help rescue the Chancellor when, we got to see in the Siege of Mandalore arc, so she's mentioned there too. She's definitely got a good backstory. They show her a lot in basically the Order 66 chip arc that they had at the beginning of, I believe, season 6 of the Clone Wars. And she's cool. Plus, I like the design as well. So that's my number 3. Minta's number 3 is Master Hudora from Dark Times. He was the only few Jedi to survive the Clone Wars. He was able to run his own casino. He did hold his own against Darth Vader briefly before he met his end. You know what? I'm not familiar with Master Hudora in Dark Times. I need to check that out, Minta. That's a good one. See, again, this is great because we can give each other ideas of other Star Wars stuff to check out. So be sure to check out Minta's suggestion of Master Hudora from Dark Times. Ross also has Sifo Dyas, critical to the Clone Wars and one of the most controversial Jedi ever. Kevin Scott brings to life in such a magical way in the audio drama Dooku Jedi Lost. Another one for Dooku Jedi Lost. It's great. And by the way, just wait until you listen to Dr. Aphra, the audiobook that's coming out very, very soon. Another audio drama exclusively done only for audiobooks. Really, really good. But Sifo Dyas really does stand out in that one. Again, he's a very tragic character, but an important character, essential to understanding what Count Dooku is and what makes him tick. By the way, sound is good. I'm kind of a little further away from my microphone than usual, so let me know if you can hear it okay. Eric says, Tara Sanuba taught Ahsoka how to slow down and be more patient. Ooh, I like that. That's a great one. Tyler has Kiadi Mundi. I love his innocence when Anakin and Ahsoka were talking about their droid slaying contest. Then his disappointment when Anakin says his prize for winning was Anakin's respect. Oh, that's good. Good Clone Wars stuff there. Jim's number 3 is Galen Merrick / Starkiller from The Force Unleashed, mainly because of Sam Witwer's acting performance. Yes, and I thought that Galen might make an appearance tonight. That's a good one. Blake has Yaddle. It always blew my mind there was another of Yoda's species on the council. We still know next to nothing about them. That's true. It's true. We've got Yoda, we've got Yaddle, and then we've got the child. That's about all we know so far. Oh, another one for Yaddle by Mary. Yaddle wish we had more information about the species of her and Yoda mysterious. I love it. So Mary and Blake are very much on the same page here. LJ's number 3 is Shak Ti. Her character was awesome in the Clone Wars and in The Force Unleashed. I just find it interesting that we never found out her fate in canon, even though her death's hinted at multiple times in different ways. Yeah. Yeah, and I think the novel does kind of say that she was killed, I believe, of Revenge of the Sith. And as many have pointed out on multiple occasions from Lucasfilm and various mediums, if it's a novelization of a movie and nothing directly contradicts it in the films, then it's canon. So I think we might know, LJ, that Shak Ti did die at the hands of General Grievous. There goes Ross one-upping me with his great insight. Yeah, Ross is always on it, man. But don't sell yourself short, LJ. You got this too. Another number 3, Yaddle. The second known member of Yoda's species, she could have shed more light on the force abilities of their race. Indeed. Again, please let me know about the mic if it sounds good from where I'm sitting. If it isn't, then I'll get closer. Minta Pudva in the artwork. Minta Pudva in the artwork in Dark Times is so good. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've heard that actually. My sanity exercise each. Well, good. I'm glad we can help, Ross. Here for the help of the mental well-being of everyone. All right. So that was number 3. My number 2 is Ayla Secura. Oh, good. Thank you, Ross. I'm glad the audio is good. Glad to hear it. So Ayla Secura I picked because I think it's really, really cool, her story. I think it's cool that she's a Twi'lek and she's a warrior. And I think it's cool that she's not... Usually when Twi'leks are shown in Star Wars, they're always like in Jabba's palace, or they're just kind of shown in sort of a lascivious way. And Ayla Secura is a warrior. She's a Jedi, and she is powerful. She's got a cool accent. I love the story that George Lucas has about seeing her picture on a comic book and saying, that's a cool look, let's put that character in the movies. So boom, someone creates this artwork and then George Lucas sees it and she ends up in the movie. So that's cool. And she only has one real arc in the Clone Wars, but it's a cool one. And it's really, really exciting, and the way that they kind of portray that is really fun. Very good. So I believe that's from season 1, so be sure to check that one out. Jim's number 2 is Master Eno Cordova from Jedi Fallen Order. And Jim, I thought Jedi Fallen Order would show up on your list. Mason, I need to finish that. We need to finish that game so we can learn more about Jedi Fallen Order for sure. Minta says Master Kurik. Probably didn't spell his name right, but Minta, don't worry. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing a lot of these names, so my apologies. He's the only Whippet Jedi on the council, and he was heavily featured in Dark Times and Legacy. He outlived Yoda, which is a surprise. Oh, wow. So I obviously need to get up to date with Dark Times. Tyler says, even Pio, probably the most hardcore out of the Jedi. He looks like he would be right home destroying battle droids while blaring Metallica. Ooh, I agree. I can always count on you for the heavy metal love, Tyler. I appreciate that. We're very like-minded in that regard. Eric says, Oppo Rancis, Snake Jedi, would love to see him in action. Yeah, I was showing him to Mason tonight, and he said, what is that Jedi doing? I said, probably get a lot of manicures. This is the way the design is, but it's a very interesting look. And Oppo Rancis is featured in Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, at least briefly. Word. Mary's number 2 is Plo Koon, which we had more of the backstory with him in Ahsoka. I would like that as well. That's untapped storytelling right there. LJ's number 2 is Jocasta Nu, a Jedi librarian, is great in and of itself, but the arc in the Charles Soule Vader comic showed how powerful and focused that she was. Yeah, someone earlier mentioned Jocasta And I thought about that arc and how the great pain she went to preserve the Jedi and their history. So that's a good one. Blake's number 2, Plo Koon, was my go-to for me and my cousin. The prequel era video games I had. Simple as that. Plo Koon, awesome, awesome. Number 2 for Ross is Sarah Junda, maybe? Jedi Fallen Order Dark Temple comic series and the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order video game. Torture, deep soul, but she perseveres. Again, I gotta get through Jedi Fallen Order because that's really cool. Aaron's number 2 is Shakti. All right, so are you ready for this? My number 1, if anybody knows this number 1, this is maybe the deepest cut that you're ever gonna find for obscure Jedi, at least. I mean, I'm biased because I thought of it and I thought, oh, this has got to be a number 1. So my number 1. So there's the picture. I'm not gonna say the name of the character just yet. I want to see if anybody knows who that is. Aaron's number 1 is Leia, but Aaron, I love Leia, but Leia is not an obscure Jedi. Leia is about as known as they get. But I do get your point about using her Force powers. So there's my number 1. Does anybody know the name of this character? No Googling. No Googling. I'll get back to that while we look at everybody else's. But my number 1's picture's right there. I won't say the name yet. Minta's number 1 is Plo Koon. He was level-headed and was a father figure to his wolf pack, and he was one of the few who could hold his own. Yep. Very good. I like that. And I'm not surprised for sure. Jim's number 1 is Master Jero Tapple from Jedi Fallen Order. What a pick how Kestis Panovi qualifies as obscure. Yeah, because I thought about that, but he's a featured character for a video game. He's a fantastic mentor, for sure. Jim is right. I'm gonna die. Yeah. So I'm gonna die is my number 1 character. So the name is laughable. It's comical, and Filoni and the creators of Clone Wars put this character in. They knew he was only going to be in 1 episode, and they knew that he was, not going to be around. But here's the funny thing. In that episode, that character who's a Nikto Jedi is very, very wise, very capable, a good warrior, shows a lot of leadership skills, and is very, very poised in battle, but just very captivating. And when he died, I was disappointed, and I was doing some Clone Wars recap stuff for Coffee with Kenobi a few years ago. And then when he died, I was disappointed. Then I looked at his name, and I thought, really? I'm gonna die? That's the name of the character? It was just sort of a laughable throw-in that they put in there. So the name is not worthy of how cool this character is in Clone Wars. So be sure to check him out. By the way, he was Mason's number 2. I didn't mention that yet because I knew I was going to show that for number 1. I wanted to be more surprised. But my number 1 is I'm Gonna Die. I wish we get more. Look up I'm Gonna Die in the, it's like IMA hyphen DU, IMA hyphen GUNDI. 3 words. IMA hyphen GUN space DI. So Google that name, and you'll see a lot of cool images from the Clone Wars for sure. Eric knew it too. Of course, I knew that you guys would know. Number 1, Kid Fisto. No matter what can you put him in, he kicks a lot of butt. Plus, he rivals Lando with that dashing smile. He does have a great smile. Eric's number 1 is Shakti. He played a key role in training the clones. Very true. Yes, funny and sad all in one. Exactly. Blake has Bastilla from Knights of the Old Republic game from 2003. She was the amazing Jedi who worked alongside Revan in that game. I wish the game's story would become canon somehow. Ooh, yeah. You never know, man. You never know. LJ's number 1, Plo Koon. I think everyone has touched on the reasons, but it's bound with the Wolfpack, and to Ahsoka made him a compelling character to me. Am I the only one when we hear Wolfpack that thinks of NWO from WCW wrestling years ago? I don't know. Anyway. The one for Mary is Galen Merrick / Starkiller for the same reasons as Jim Capron, but also for the journey he took. I don't play the game, but my son does. Plus, we've met Sam Witwer a couple of times, and he just embodies all Force wielders. Oh, good choice. Good choice. Ross number 1, Quinlan Voss, Qui-Gon, but one more level of Rogue, so terrific, and Dark Disciple. I definitely want more of his stories. Yeah, for sure. No, I think of that Wolfpack. Yeah, Wolfpack with Kevin Nash and when Sting converted. Oh man, that was fun stuff. All right, great choice. Anybody else have their number 1 they want to throw up there? Mason's number 1, by the way, echoing a lot of you, is Plo Koon. He's always said to me how much he loves Plo Koon. the Massa design that when he is featured in Clone Wars, it's great. He's just a really cool looking character. So Mason's number one is also Plo Koon. All right, so next week's top five. Usually I just say it, but I thought I'll just make it a little more memorable. So next week's top five. This week we did top five obscure Jedi, but next week you're going to get a chance to give your most obscure deep cuts, or you can go very mainstream. But next week's top five is droids. Get your list ready of your favorite Star Wars droids. You can only pick five. Be sure to rank them from 5 to 1. I think that's more fun that way. It's how we've been doing it on the show, and it's been really, really great. But that is next week. Get those droids ready. Anything from the Legends line, from the comics, from the novels, anything. And of course, the movies and the animated stuff as well. You've got a lot of droids to choose from. This is probably going to be harder than what we've been doing for sure. All right. I love it. So again, next week's top five is droids. And then after that, we've already got some ideas. See? Toughest topic yet. Tyler's also saying that Plo Koon is a favorite in his family, just like Mason for me. LJ throwing down the gauntlet. If R2 isn't your number one, then don't bother coming back next week. I do love R2. Yeah, Blake's going to love that too. Oh, good, good. Ross says, there goes my weekend. You're welcome. Minto Woot, I already have a few droids in mind. Great, I love it. Again, let me know what your top five choices are, like as far as topics, because we'll be sure to throw that in there. I've got kind of a running list going already from stuff we recommended a while ago. But great, very good. All right, so it's time to go to the book study, but it's going to be a little bit different this time because we're not doing one. Okay, so the reason is, and I've been hinting about this for a while, I've been kind of getting this vibe, but an important thing as an educator is to be able to sort of think on your feet or kind of change things at the last minute if something isn't working. And while we're having fun and it's engaging, and I love your feedback, the problem with this format on Facebook Live is that to me as an educator, a book discussion is I throw out some ideas and then you throw out even more ideas and then we have a conversation. We use rhetoric, we use dialogue, and we kind of try to figure things out together. But the problem with this, because of the hesitation, because when you type the comments, I get them, but they usually come a little bit later. And there's a lot to process and kind of thinking on the fly with random things that I'm saying. So I feel like that kind of slows down Facebook Live. And to me, Facebook Live should be about the feedback, all of your comments that show up. That's my favorite part. So we're still going to have a book study, but I'm just going to do video recordings. In fact, you may have noticed, as I alluded to at the top of the show, that I put on our YouTube channel about 45 minutes before Facebook Live started tonight. I put my Chapter 9 breakdown of the Rise of Skywalker novelization by Ray Carson. So it's out there for you. Same studio, same host, same everything. So it's there for you if you want it. If you want to give some feedback, put it in the comments or email me, danz@coffeewithkenobi.com. Be sure to get back to you and interact with you on your analysis and your insights into these chapters as we're going along. We'll still do one a week, but it's not going to be part of the regular Coffee with Kenobi book study. Not going to be part of Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Lives because I want to be more interactive. And the book study is sort of a hard medium to do that through Facebook Live itself. So there's that. Hopefully that's not too disappointing. Again, you'll still have the book study option, but it's just going to be on YouTube. On our YouTube channel, I will certainly always share it on Facebook and on Twitter as well. So if you have any questions or ideas, let me know. In the meantime, we're going to be looking at a couple other different things for sure. We're going to talk about Star Wars Rebels. I want to talk about Star Wars Rebels. Before we get to that, I did mention earlier in the show that Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Live is brought to you by Penguin Random House Audio. They are an amazing sponsor, and they put out an incredible product. Speaking of, Dr. Aphra is coming out, written by Sarah Kuhn. It's coming out this week, I believe. Actually, it's coming out tomorrow. Yeah, it's coming out tomorrow, the 21st. I have heard it. I've been listening to it while I was mowing the lawn or driving or working out, doing all kinds of things. It's great. It's phenomenal. It really expands what's going on in the Dr. Aphra original series by Kieran Gillen. incorporates a lot of other stuff going on in the Marvel Star Wars universe in 2015 and 16. The performances are exceptional, but I highly recommend that you be sure to check it out. Hey, let them know that Coffee with Kenobi sent you, for sure. But Dr. Aphra comes out tomorrow. You're absolutely going to love it. Very, very good. All right, so it looks like we got a couple of new friends. Ryan is here from the Forcecast. Hello, my friend. Great to see you, buddy. Looks like LJ is already instigating. He says, don't slow this Facebook Live down home. Those two are actually good friends, of course. That's good. Ryan, good to see you for sure. Every Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Love having you. Let's take a look back at Rebels. Okay, so I had a great thing. Look, Ryan, you got everybody all excited. Look at that. I love it. So something really great happened at the Zara household. We got through Rebels. Now, I've seen Rebels, of course. I've been watching them. I watched them as they aired. We had our Rebels reactions podcast, and we talked about Rebels on the show. For the 4 years it was out, and then I've been slowly introducing them to Mason. Well, we realized a couple weeks ago that we didn't actually finish season 4. And I knew there was some major stuff happening, like the fate of Kanan, the reveal of the return of Ahsoka, all the stuff with the Loth Wolves, all that good stuff. So I wanted to talk about this week's Coffee with Kenobi is actually about Star Wars Rebels, and we've got some great longtime friends of Coffee with Kenobi who are podcast hosts from other podcasts. So you're gonna have to wait until Thursday to find out about. But they weigh in on Rebels 2 is actually going to be our top 5 things that we think are the most interesting or impactful about Star Wars Rebels itself. Ryan, good to see you, my friend. Thank you. It's good to see you. So happy to chat with you anytime. Of course, you know that. I was lucky to be on the Forcecast with Ryan, oh gosh, about a month ago maybe. And we had a blast. He kind of basically asked me about my story, and it was very cool. So be sure to check that out when you get a chance. So tell me your thoughts on Star Wars Rebels. Iconic moments, characters, scenes. Why is Rebels important, in your opinion? Why is Rebels important to the mythology of Star Wars? Honestly, and I talk about this on the podcast this week, if pressed, I can make a good argument that Star Wars Rebels is, as a collective, as all 4 episodes, is some of the best Star Wars storytelling, period. And I would rank it above quite a few of the movies as well, for sure. Tyler Rebels says it's a series I haven't finished, but I've loved everything that I've seen of it. My brother prefers it to Clone Wars, and Kanan is tied with Han is his favorite character. Tyler, I'm happy to hear that. You will love it. You will love Rebels. I would say Rebels. I like Rebels better than Clone Wars too, and I love Clone Wars. You know that I love Clone Wars. Everybody knows in the Coffee with Kenobi family knows how I feel about the Clone Wars. But if I had to rank the Star Wars television series, I would rank Rebels as first, Mandalorian is second, Clone Wars is third, and Star Wars Resistance is fourth. And it's not to disparage any of them. They're all excellent in their own way, but that's just kind of how they hit me. Eric says Rebels does so much to bridge the prequels in the original trilogy. Yep, Eric, I like that. I agree with you. And I think that's one of the reasons I like it so much. It took some very, very powerful, a very, very powerful part in the collective saga and does bridge that gap and incorporates a bunch of characters from different storylines and different parts of the timeline of Star Wars and makes it work in such a unique way. And it's beautiful. It's just great storytelling. Terry says, my favorite moment, Kenobi. Yeah, I'm not even going to bother. When Sam Witwer as Maul yells out Kenobi's name at the beginning of Twin Suns, my favorite episode in all of Rebels. It's powerful. Minta says, Rebels is a great series. It does tie into the original trilogy nicely and has some amazing characters. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Ross says, Rebels and Rogue One basically made me care about Star Wars at a whole new level, which I didn't think was possible. That's cool. And see, that's another thing I like. I'm really fascinated by the era of Star Wars where the Empire is strong and the rebellion is slowly burgeoning, slowly coming to the surface. And I think that's really cool because you could see Vader sort of in all his glory, the stormtroopers out, which of course are iconic, and seeing the different people in the galaxy and how they have to face against the oppression. And that's what Rebels does. Rebels does so well. It takes the planet of Lothal, starts there, and eventually we get back to that from season 4. And it's just great to kind of see I mean, it's kind of steeped in reality, and to a degree. I mean, of course, there's no such thing as a galactic empire, but there's certainly been tyrants throughout the history of world history, of real history, and we've certainly seen examples of armies that invade other areas and the struggles that people have. So again, what fiction does so well is it lets you take something real but tell it in a different way, in a fictional way, through a fictional lens. And it helps us to understand more about the history, about ourselves, and about our culture. And Rebels does a great job of that. I think it's really, really cool. Just like I think The Mandalorian does a good job of showing how uh, an, a power like the Empire, when they go out of power, and how hard it is to kind of let that go. And the remnants, it reminds me of just different parts of world history too, which I'm not going to tie too closely into because I'll let kind of people think about that and put to connect those dots themselves. But happy to talk about it if you want to email me and weigh in on that as well. LJ says Rebels was great and they had an intimate look at the rebellion. While the Clone Wars felt massive, we got to stay with one small group of rebels and develop bonds with them. But there was less filler in Rebels as well. Fair enough. Of course, a lot less episodes too, but I like that, LJ. Another thing that it did was it kind of showed us that, hey, this is Rebels, but there are lots of Rebel cells all throughout the galaxy. That's why it's the Rebel Alliance, because they eventually align and work together and create this massive rebellion. Blake just finished Rebels 2 weeks ago and he adored it. It had the deep dives into the Force, which I loved. I also think the world building was better than any other Star Wars aside from The Mandalorian, this new era of Star Wars. Very good. I love it, Blake. And shameless plug, feel free to go through the catalog of Coffee with Kenobi. You'll hear our breakdown of every single episode of Rebels. We had different guests every week, and it was great. It was great fun. Ross says, and you saw my new frame Sabine arc. I did. Yeah, that was kind of timely, Ross. That was really nice. Ross showed that on his Instagram account. Eric says, I love witnessing the formation of the rebellion. Me too. It's just neat. I think it's fascinating because it takes a lot of work to get something like that to happen. And of course, there were cameos like Leia was in it, Lando was in it, Vader had some incredible things. Vader was in cameo. Vader was a major player in season 2, and he was tremendous. Jim says, to no one's surprise, my favorite Rebels moment was in A World Between Worlds when Jyn Erso echoed, "The time to fight is now." Just meant a lot to me to hear my favorite Star Wars character say my favorite Star Wars line in canon again. Oh, that's neat. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, in A World Between Worlds, which I wrote about for StarWars.com, encourage you to check that out if you get a chance. There is this moment where Ezra finds himself in a world between worlds inside this Jedi temple, which the Emperor is desperate to get inside. And when he's there, every footprint kind of literally there's light pulsing from his feet. It feels like every step we take, it's a metaphor for every step that we take creates ripples in time and through our lives, through other people's lives. And then Filoni has different moments of dialogue from all the Star Wars films, past, present, and future, kind of cascading around Ezra's mind. He's not sure how to make sense of them, but we, of course, make sense of them as fans. Minta says one of my favorite characters besides Ahsoka is Zeb. He's like the big brother, uncle, the bunch. He can hold his own against stormtroopers. Boy, does he ever. I love Zeb too. A great performance by Steve Bloom. One punch from Zeb knocks out stormtroopers, and he's fun. And I'm sure you saw, Minta, that the 6-inch Black Series action figure of Zeb is finally going to come out, so that's good too. Mary says Rebels ties so much together, the growth of Kanan, Ezra, and brings so many characters together. You know, the Ahsoka is fulcrum, and her being such an important leader of the young rebellion, facing Vader, so powerful, so many storylines to bring it all together. That's great. And speaking of facing Vader, that when Kanan and Ezra fight Vader, I'll never forget that because I watched that at Star Wars Celebration, and I remember it was like a bunch of media and fans in this big room. And when they showed Vader facing against him, everyone was yelling, "Run, run," because we knew how dangerous Vader was. Now, Kanan and Ezra didn't stand a chance. They got away lucky, but it's very, very powerful. There's a lot of great vintage Vader stuff. You don't really get to see Vader in his prime a lot in the films. Maybe in Rogue One at the end, and a little bit in The Empire Strikes Back, but he's also kind of holding back because of all the emotions. But in Rebels, that's not a factor. It's just him being Darth Vader, and it's great. LJ says, plus Rebels took the Force in some really interesting directions. I just wish they wouldn't have done Yoda the way they did. That animated Yoda was a nightmare fuel. So you know what, LJ? I actually have a theory on that, and you should go back and listen to my old Coffee with Kenobi episodes where we interview Freddie Prinze Jr. He was on like 5 times, and Freddie is, of course, the voice of Kanan Jarrus, and he's great. He's an incredibly deep, profound guy. He's just like the coolest college. Like, you feel like you'd be a great college buddy to have, Freddie, back in the day. Just the way he breaks down and analyzes stuff. And I told him, actually, that when they show Yoda in season 1 versus season 2, he's not as detailed in season 1 as he is in season 2. And LJ, to me, I take that as Yoda isn't fully formed when Ezra meets him in season 1, because Ezra isn't incredibly strong with the Force yet. In fact, first he only hears a voice, and then he sees Yoda, and he looks a certain way, and then he sees him again, and he looks even better. And yes, the animation improved, but to me, it's because Ezra became a lot stronger with the Force. Just like Luke in The Empire Strikes Back, when he first when he hears Obi-Wan after Obi-Wan is dead, when he says, "Run, Luke, run," at the end of A New Hope, or towards the end of A New Hope, it's only the voice. And then the trench run, he only hears his voice. In the beginning of Empire, he sees him for the first time, but it's very, very faint. Then when he's on Dagobah after he's been training with Yoda for a long time, Obi-Wan is pretty much almost corporeal, even though he's a Force ghost. And to me, that's because Luke got strong on the Force, so we could see and understand him better. And I think that's kind of why Ezra sees Yoda the way that he does in Rebels. So hopefully, LJ, that makes sense and maybe makes you think about it a little bit differently. Jim says, I like the implementation of the Lothwolves because it's a strong reference to Princess Mononoke. That's one of my favorite films ever. That's right. I remember you seeing that, posting that on our Patreon page. But yeah, and Dave has said that was an influence as well. Ross says Rebels had some known villains, but introducing Thrawn is so impactful it can still go in different directions. Rebels really shows the importance of recognizing shades of gray. So just the light side, dark side is more realistic. I agree. Yeah, and I'll never forget when Thrawn showed up, when it was announced at Celebration Europe, and they said Thrawn was going to be on Rebels, and the fact that Timothy Zahn was going to help with the creation of that character, that was amazing. Tyler says, I mentioned when I talked about Luminar on my list that her death shocked me. That episode messed me up for a couple of days after I watched it. Not too many shows can give me a reaction like that. See, that's good. The pathos that this show gave us is incredible. And one of the most powerful moments in Rebels for me is when Kanan dies, and the episode after Jedi Knight is when Hera is grieving and Chopper goes out. You know, Chopper is very disgruntled and cantankerous, very curmudgeonly. But he holds out his little arm and he holds Hera's hand, and that actually got tears in my face. It was incredible what this show was able to do for us emotionally. Hey, Colby, good to see you, my friend. He says, hi, everybody. The world between worlds is one of my favorite concepts in Star Wars. So bold. I totally agree. Totally agree. It's an incredible aspect of Star Wars that opened up a lot of doors, literally and figuratively. Terry says, what I appreciate about Rebels as well as the development of many of the mid, major, and minor characters. Their stories create an emotional attachment similar to what we have with the major movie characters. I agree. I still say to this day that Kanan is one of my favorite characters, period. He's just really well done. And Minta, you did see they were bringing out Zeb. Very cool. Yeah, and you can probably order them on Entertainment Earth or Things from Another World or somewhere like that as well. LJ, I'm glad that makes sense for you, brother. Minta also says, when Ahsoka did make her debut in Rebels, I was in tears of joy. She had grown from her years in the Clone Wars and found her own path in the Force. She also came to terms that Vader was her former master, and she traveled with Ezra in between the worlds. She truly had grown and changed out of all the characters. Yep, absolutely. And her design and how she evolved and how, Ashley Eckstein kind of said, I had to make my voice a little older because Ahsoka was older, 19 years older in Star Wars Rebels. Actually, at that point, she's probably more like 20, 21 years older. Either way, great stuff. Well, that was fun. See, I had a feeling this would be more interactive than me breaking down another chapter in any Star Wars book because, again, that feedback is what makes Facebook Live so incredible. And I love it. Again, don't forget that next week we're going to do your favorite Star Wars droids. Be sure to get that list together. Nothing is too obscure or mainstream. You can pick R2 as your number one if you want to. It's fine with me. I just want to see what you've got. I think that'll be so much fun. Speaking of fun, again, don't forget my shameless plug for the week, October 20th. The Star Wars book is going to come out, written by myself, Pablo Hidalgo, and Cole Horton. Boy, we're going to have a lot of fun with top 5 lists after you read this book. There is no doubt about that. And don't forget, as I mentioned halfway through the show, our sponsor, Penguin Random House Audio, has The audiobook exclusive, Dr. Affer, written by Sarah Kuhn, narrated by an all-star cast including Catherine Tabor, Mark Thompson. It is really, really good. I've gotten to listen to it already. It's exceptional. I highly recommend that you download it tomorrow morning and listen to it. You're going to learn about Dr. Affer. If you're not sure about that character, you'll learn a lot more about her through that for sure. Again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me tonight and every Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time for Facebook Live. Get your top 5 droid list ready. If you want to check out the next breakdown for the Rise of Skywalker novelization, go to our YouTube channel and you will see the latest one there. And it looks like we've got a little bit of homework that LJ's got in mind for us. Homework for next week. Pick R2D2 as your number 1 and join the Patreon. Well, there you go. I'd love for everybody to join the Patreon. Thank you. And we have a great time. In fact, after this, I'm going to record the next CWK forward. Just wait to see the top 5 for this week. This is the way. Sarah says, great episode. Thank you. Dan, Sarah, awesome. Good to chat with you. Mary, have a safe week. Super fun time tonight. See you, Blake. Always good to see you, my friend. LJ, you too as well. Eric, awesome. Good to have you on, of course. Thanks, Dan. Have a good night, everybody. Go Cubs, go Cubs, go Indeed, Tyler. And be sure to check out the rest of Rebels, man. It's gonna blow your mind. Let me know. Lots learned tonight. Thank you for the show. My pleasure, my friend. Jim says, thanks as always. Have a great evening. Mary, thank you. Thank everyone for consistently joining me every Monday night. If you like the Coffee with Kenobi, be sure to subscribe on iTunes. Like us on Facebook. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It will help so much. And in fact, if you really want to help out Coffee with Kenobi besides our Patreon page, go to iTunes and write and review our show. Give us a 5-star review. It makes such a big difference because when people type in Star Wars in iTunes, Coffee with Kenobi will be one of the first to pop up if we have a lot of reviews. So that's why podcasters are always asking for reviews. Thank you again, everybody. Have a great week and weekend. And remember, this is the podcast you're looking for.